You're about to meet Sue Allan, a woman whose life turned unexpectedly through the loss of her husband. Thankfully, prior to her husband's passing, they had a plan. We'll be sharing a 3-part video series about Sue's journey. In this segment, we'll cover the importance that professional advisors play in securing your future and possibly your community. Hi, I'm Jack Jung. I'm a London Community Foundation board member, and my wife Eleanor and I have a family fund at LCF. London Community Foundation is a public foundation that's been around for over 70 years, providing individuals and families the ability to establish customized, multi-generational charitable funds. These funds provide a permanent source of sustainable funding to London and Middlesex. Let's learn more about our friends here. We have Sue Allan here with me and her good friend Hugh Rawling. Sue, tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, well, I was born in Ottawa and lived there till I was 12. I ended up going to university in New Brunswick, which is where I met Tom. He was a little ahead of me at university. So after I graduated, we married, and he was stationed in Montreal with Sun Life. But he wasn't there for too long before London Life came banging at the door. And that's how we ended up here in London.
So being new to London, how did you and Tom establish roots in the community?
Well, we started, like many people do, being volunteers. Tom was at Junior Achievement for a little while, but then Alan Taylor, who you know was the founder of the London Community Foundation, Alan recruited Tom to work at the foundation on their investment committee. And he inspired many people in the city, not only as volunteers, but also as philanthropists. So gradually, we became financially involved with the organizations we had volunteered with. I had been active in the Women's Christian Association, who owned Parkwood Hospital and McCormick Home at the time. And I also was involved with SARI Therapeutic Riding. So we were quite busy, mostly as volunteers, but gradually financially as well.
At what point did you come into the picture?
How did you come into the picture? I think you and Tom met playing hockey, didn't you?
Originally, yeah.
Yeah, and so Hugh was fairly new in the wealth planning end of things and asked if he might sit with us and help us prepare a financial plan. And so at that point, we had no inkling of Tom, the health crisis that was going to face us. So we spent, 2 sessions or 1 session?
Several, yeah.
Several sessions, giggling and laughing and having a wonderful time. And Hugh helped us develop a plan. It was basically a family financial philosophy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That you worked with, I think is the best way to put it. Yeah.
Hugh, tell us a little bit about your background and how you approach these conversations with your clients.
Well, I started as a financial coach back in 1979, so it's 43 years now. So I hope I don't look too old, do I? So it's been a lot of years, but as you evolve, I sort of, from financial coaching more into wealth coaching. And it's more interesting to work and help people understand how to build the plan. And initially, everybody starts out with children and trying to find enough money to raise your children, so you don't have a lot of excess wealth. So people would initially say they don't have a lot of excess wealth, and it's probably true. But as you progress in your career and you saved a bit of money, eventually people get to the point where they have a little bit. You can define there's a little excess wealth. So I try and help them do that. And once they're clear they have a little excess wealth, naturally, the next step, sort of going up a pyramid, would be to look after the family legacy and their children. So help clarify that. So once you know there's excess beyond that, then it opens up the opportunity to help do a legacy wealth gift, which is what we evolved to, and with Tom and Sue, and talked about how we got there to that point where there's extra. So what about a gift, a social capital gift? But it's a progression. You can't rush. You can't go right to the final gift to charity until you're clear they have excess, and you've got to deal with their own financial independence, the children, and that gift, and then finally there. So it's a bit of work. It takes time because you've got to get real clear, and you don't want to make mistakes.
Hugh, I'm curious, have there been situations where people are resistant to your advice?
I think the challenge would be they're resistant if you don't do the full discovery and get clear about their mission, their vision, their values, their goals, what's important. If you're rushing to the solution, then they're going to put up a barrier. So I think it helps to get clear first, really what's important, then the goals, those, as I mentioned. And once you're clear on that, then they're motivated to make progress.
Sue, how did Hugh help you get comfortable with charitable giving?
Well, I think he just put his finger right on it and say, what are your goals? And so he helped us look at our entire picture, both of our estates or our assets, and determine sort of percentages within the context of our total net worth and how much of a percentage we needed for, what did you call it? Financial independence. And then there was another layer of family legacy. And the top layer was social capital legacy.
That's good.
So it became easy because I had a template there. And Hugh later, after all this discussion, actually produced a document book with charts and things like this. And I've used that book all along as a guideline. We talked about it, and it wasn't actual numbers. It was percentages of our total net worth for the two of us. So it was a really good base for me to work with, particularly after Tom died, and I'm sort of thinking, where do I go from here? So it was it started as a fun afternoon and really has stood me in good stead for a good 18,
That's nice
19
to hear.
years. Yeah.
You made my day, Sue.
That's good. And then certainly after Tom died, his will had left funds in trust for both the girls and me. So I had no worries at all for either myself or my two girls. And I thought, so maybe just to help me get going again, I can start thinking about the top level that Hugh and Tom and I discussed. It would help me in my grieving process, certainly, to really keep Tom's planning in mind, his memory in mind. So again, it was a good platform for me it was a crutch, actually. Yeah.
How did you decide to work with London Community Foundation?
Oh, that was pretty easy because Tom had worked with London Community Foundation as a volunteer. I knew that if you had a family fund, which Tom and I had talked about starting a family fund. We hadn't done anything about it. But I knew all the mechanics that if you started a fund, your assets for your fund would be pooled with LCF's funds so that your management fee would be pretty low, probably lower than a management fee I was paying for my own portfolio. So I was able to start. I went and talked to Martha Powell. I had my own stock portfolio, so I think it was just beginning. Gifts of shares were just becoming a really good way to make a charitable gift. So once I built the capital of the fund, then you could start granting. I would make one gift a year and channel some of it to capital of the fund and some of it to what's called flow-through gifts, knowing that I had my special things I was interested in, but the Community Foundation also would present ideas for things that you might fund which was interesting because I only had a very narrow outlook on the community where things were needed. So it's great working with the foundation. They've got lots of ideas. If you run out of ideas, it's not very easy for me to run out of ideas. But anyway, so that's how I got started with LCF.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sue and Hugh, for sharing your perspective. It really does show how we can never anticipate what's ahead for us, but with planning in place, you can help mitigate these tough situations or worse, financial hardship. This is why it's important for people to seek out advice with a financial planner, accountant, and lawyer, just to make sure that you're on the right path. In the next video, we'll touch on this as we discuss estate planning.